Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mitch's Make a Minute. I'm your host, Mitch. Today, I am joined with Amanda. Nate couldn't make it. He kind of slept in again, and it's what it is. But we have kind of an interesting episode to kind of go over with you. As some of you guys who tuned in last week might have noticed, we had the episode up for a little bit, and then it, didn't.
Yeah, it's something happened.
YouTube.
What? I don't know.
YouTube decided that we were against the community guidelines or something like that. I contested it, and then 3 seconds later they said, "Nah, you good actually.
No, you're right.
Continue your stream." And then we couldn't. So it was fun.
Yeah.
It is incredibly frustrating to do the show. Any of our shows right now. Between the fact that none of our viewers, including anyone who's possibly listening to this live, is getting to listen to this live because of poor notifications, because of, tons of just different compounding things. We're not showing up in subscription feeds anymore. We're not, people who hit the bell notification don't get the notification until 2 hours later. We don't even, this show is not live right now to some people. If you look it up, if you go and search it up, you have to literally go onto the show, go into videos, and then we're live.
Yeah, it's a very roundabout way. You need to already be on our channel to know that we're live currently.
Right. So that all being said, I did want to kind of talk a little bit about a backup plan because we're gonna have to start really trying to figure out a backup plan. Of course, also I would like to point out that this is episode 69 and we're going to be talking about the Tiger King in today's episode, so how fitting. There's a lot of things I want to talk about outside of just the ironic channel problems that we're having. But we'll get into that right now with channel news. In today's channel news, the streams this week are going to be, we are going to finish up Fire Emblem Three Houses on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. We are going to try our best to be on time on that one. We are going to play until we are done, and we can put it away, we can shelve it away. As much as I have loved the Fire Emblem adventure, it has been 9 months of Fire Emblem. More than 9 months, it feels like.
Yeah, honestly, it does sometimes.
And I'm just excited to put that down and play something else and, have some fun. Because we tried that recently. Last Thursday, you guys got an episode of Animal Crossing where me and Gang Mudo were just establishing my first island. And I'm having a lot of fun. And we'll get into that later in the podcast. But, it's very different to kind of figure out what we're doing when we know that half of our viewership, more than half of our viewership, can't access the videos or aren't informed of what's going on half the time. And so this week, instead of doing Persona, I think me and Gangwood are going to do another Animal Crossing episode. Probably just, she talked about wanting to go and visit her island and stuff, and I've been doing some stuff and having fun. We'll just make it so that it's kind of a two-parter thing while we're trying to set up this other thing. We are considering moving over our streams, at least for the time being, over to Twitch, because at least that way you guys will get something. You guys can get notified, and there's not a bunch of bots running the entire fucking system. So,
And reporting you or taking down your shit.
Yeah.
And then 2 seconds later going, "Oh, our bad."
Yeah, and then they're like, you can, and then they're like, well, we solved your problem. We put your video back up. We might have cut you halfway through, but hey, we did it.
Hey,
pat us on the fucking back. We've been talking about problems with YouTube for years. We've always had problems with YouTube, and I think that it's just, I have to figure out how we're going to do this. Because I also don't want you guys here on YouTube to miss out on all the fun stuff we're doing, I've been a YouTuber for fucking 13 years now. And I love this platform, but it's also kind of shitty to us, like, all the time. it's
Yeah.
not great. So we're gonna try to figure out some stuff over here. If you want any current news or anything that's going on or anything outside of the podcast, please go just sign up for our Discord. We at everyone. We tell everyone when episodes are up, and we have some pretty great fans. I mean, all of you guys who are listening are really awesome people. And I just feel bad because we put in the time, and we're just, you two can just be like kind of fickle like that sometimes. And I've actually been pretty mad about it since last week. Because I thought we were like really on a roll with that. And I do want to continue talking about vigilantes, at least talking a little bit about, the other stuff about what makes it wonderful and great. And then, we have like a pretty loaded episode. So I hope we don't get cut off. I'm kind of bitter about that. I'm still kind of like weirdly bitter about that, but I can't.
I mean, that's fair. I'm just like paranoid now. I'm like,
Yeah.
any minute.
Oh, it's so real, dude. It's so fucking real. Anyways, we can't let this get us down. You know who won't let us get this down? Let's talk about something I decided to do today. I decided to start the Netflix show that everyone's probably talking about. You've seen it like around. I decided to watch The Tiger King. I am not.
What the fuck is The Tiger King?
I am not done with The Tiger King. I am about. I'm like 2 episodes away from finishing it. Maybe 1 episode away from finishing it. All right, so The Tiger King tells the story of Joe Exotic, a tiger, like an exotic animal owner. He runs a zoo in which you can pet baby tiger cubs, and you can you can see like live tigers, and it's his own personal private zoo, And he also does a like daily show, kind of like this one. He does like a daily like talk show where he talks about stuff. He made his own country album. He, and this is all in Oklahoma, and he's, he ran for governor, and back in 2015, he tried running for president, I heard about this guy through, like, a John Oliver bit. Like, that's how I know this guy. So when I heard that there was a TV show all about Joe Exotic, like, fucking 5 years later, I'm like, holy shit, what has happened? Because the show is called Tiger King. Like murders, madness, and some other money, madness, murders, and the reason why everyone's talking about this show has everything to do with how they present the story. The subject material himself, Mr. Joe Exotic, is
Mr. Exotic.
Yeah, Mr. Exotic. He's a very interesting guy when you hear about him, He's in the first episode he's portrayed as a very eccentric man. He is an openly gay polyamorous man. He was, I think, like legally married to 2 men at one point in his life. He's like kind of like this cult of personality, and like, just look at him. You can see him in the video. like you can see that. Like, this man is very, he knows what he knows what he is, and he owns it, and he has like this magnetic confidence around him. Everyone just really loves this man. And you then, so at first, I'll kind of go over the first episode so you can kind of get why people are interested in this show. So they introduce Joe. Joe is Joe. He is a wonderful person. He's like a great ringleader. But he may or may not take very good care of his tigers. In in the first episode they established three different examples of these types of like privately owned zoos, and then we're introduced to a woman named Carol. Carol is this character who like essentially is like it was exotic animal rescue, something like that, like big cat
Yeah.
rescue. And the idea is that she like takes in these animals and gives them a place, and at first it's framed as, oh, she takes them in and like breeds them and takes care of them and stuff, and then they introduce you to another character who's this white dude with a ponytail, like older dude with a ponytail. And that guy seems like he has everything set up and squared away. He spends like $10,000 a year feeding, like each individual tiger costs like $10,000. And then it cuts straight to Joe, and Joe says, well, I spent $3,000 on every tiger. That's a $7,000 difference. And so all of a sudden, it's all about the framing device and how they pace it out. Because then all of a sudden, this is starting to paint Joe pretty badly. Like Joe might be this intense personality, but maybe he isn't the best at taking care of his animals. Well, then it's revealed that Mr. Ponytail is kind of this weird cult leader, where he has multiple wives, and when I say that, I mean like in the sense of like he like each one has a huge house, and like then you hear from someone who was part of that, and their whole thing is like, look, this guy, like it's almost like a hippie cult leader, like in the sense of like it's a family, it's all you have to go to. Joe Exotic would hire people fresh out of jail or at a gas station, and they sit there from the beginning of noon to the end of the day because they have nowhere else to go, and these people kind of bring them in, and it's kind of fucked. It's like horribly fucked. And like the ponytail guy, like the more you find out about him, it's like, okay, he's weird. These girls come
Right.
in when they're teenagers, and he kind of grooms them to be these like idealized, like sexual, like dolls almost. And it's really
Mm.
it's fucked. It's fucked. And then you find out Carol, who's supposed to be the person who has the rescue set up, she might have killed her husband.
I'm
There's a
okay with
lot of
that.
evidence that claims that that she essentially met her husband. Like, what was it? She was 20 and in a marriage already, like with an abusive husband, and he was 42, and somewhere in the 90s, somewhere in the 90s, he goes missing, and then all of a sudden the will changes. And the will says, in the case of my death or disappearance, everything goes to the new wife and not my old wife and 2 children.
You know what? I'm fine with this. I'm fine with that. I mean, between like the literal child predator and the abused housewife that killed her husband, if she's taking real good care of those big kitties, go for it.
Jeez.
She's dude. In a lot of cases, she could just be like, "I have battered wife syndrome."
I mean, she got away with it, man. I mean,
Yeah, so she's golden. Fuck it. I'm fine. I
you're
don't mind that at all.
all right. Well, that aside,
Also, I thought Joey Exotic, because I'd never watched this fucking show. I assumed that Joey Exotic was just his porn name.
I mean, so there's so many layers to this. Every bit of the story, like that, that's what makes it work. Every episode, you have the base layer. You're introduced to Joe and you're introduced to Carolyn, and these two characters hate each other. Carolyn hates Joe because she believes that Joe isn't taking good care of the tigers. There's also, this thing about like how she makes a ridiculous profits off of the tigers, and how she doesn't really keep her zoo that well maintained. And then you have Joe, who also doesn't keep his zoo well maintained, and like,
God damn it! Does anyone fucking actually take care of these fucking tigers?
yes, there is a criminal or a ex-criminal who was introduced in episode 2, who's like, yeah, I have this deep like love and respect for the animals. I did my time, and now I get to own these things. And
Good. Fuck everyone else. Christ.
so that's the thing. Like, Carolyn doesn't take care of the cats. Like, she claims that that's what's up, but like, there's like, that's the problem, right? So Joe says, "Oh well, the park isn't well maintained, and the cages are really small, and da 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 da." And then Carolyn says, "Well, da 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 da." It's he says and she says, and it's trash. But then the story gets deeper, and every step and every layer of the story becomes more and more like involved, and becomes more like treacherous, and becomes more dangerous, and at the end of the first episode, it is revealed that Joe in 2019, he's in jail right now. So the whole story is trying to get, okay, how did that turn into Joe is in jail? How the fuck did that happen? And so we're trying to get to that point, and where I'm at in the show, I'm pretty sure I know how this is gonna play out.
Yeah, same.
So
Same, Bronson. I assumed that this was just a fucking funky little story about this dude who owned a bunch of tigers.
he is so ridiculous, and his story is so crazy, and his manipulation and his toxicity, and like, I would love to go into it, but what I want to do is I want to try to give everyone a week. If you haven't caught the show, I'm going to give everyone a week, and the next episode I'll kind of talk a little bit more about the meat of it and what makes it so crazy. Because even it's almost like Tommy Wiseau, where like, Tommy Wiseau is a giant piece of shit. He's emotionally manipulative. He's a bad actor. He forced his actors to work under horrible, intense conditions. Didn't feed them water. Had his own toilet that only had a drape but not a door, so everyone could just smell his shit. Like, he is a horrible, horrible monster. But I love that it's not that I love that he like is a horrible monster. He's just such a strong personality. You look at Tommy Wiseau, and you see that there's this raw passion behind the project that he's producing, and it's so raw and intense that he's like almost like he's so focused on the passion of his project that he becomes negligent about literally every other aspect about his world. About his friendships, about his relationships, about his professionalism, and that's what makes him such an interesting character, or an interesting person. And Joe Exotic is the same way. Joe is so fixated and focused on becoming famous that everything else around him slowly falls apart. And it's it's just such a fascinating thing, because there's arson, there's fucking like so much shit. Like, once again, I cannot get into the meat and potatoes of it, but there is so much that happens in between between these two people, where it's like they're both horrible. I do not like Joe as a person. I do not like Carolyn as a person. I think Carolyn's a fucking monster based purely on the information. Also, I feel like she'd be annoying either way. I don't think I'd like her in the show or on Facebook. But like, it's just, there's so much, and even if she didn't kill just putting this out there, even if she didn't kill her husband, like, the way that she treated the family, like the family, like, she kind of like the ex-wife and the daughters, is enough to be like, she's kind of a bitch. Like this is fucked. This is fucked either way.
Oh, yeah, no, it's definitely fucked. The thing that's stressing me out the most is take care of the cats.
It's it's such a it's such a fascinating view, and like I can't take my eyes off of it. Like I've watched like 5 or 6 episodes today alone because I just cannot like take my eyes off of what is happening. Like it is gripped me, and now I have to finish it off and kind of figure out, so how does this end? What does the story kind of, where does the story fold? It reminds me a lot of when I was watching To Make a Murderer,
Yeah.
and how the story kind of unfolds, and the documentary kind of show, like it has a lot of that, but almost to a extreme, because the characters are so much more I keep using the word exotic, but that's the only word I can think of, because they're much more interesting, because they're much more, maybe not even, not interesting, flamboyant, or extravagant. Like
Right.
Joe is such a, you could see a movie being based off this character. He ran for president and governor, and then he ran, like, it's a whole thing. Anyways, if you have not seen The Tiger King, I will be talking about spoilers next week. I'm trying to give everyone a week so we can actually talk a little bit more about the meat and potatoes of it. It is quite possibly the weirdest show I've seen in 2020, but it is wonderful. We're going to kind of move on from there. So you guys all know that I've been playing a couple different games throughout this fun period of time, the quarantines.
Yeah.
And I recently beat One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. I I beat it.
The
I
whole thing?
I streamed it Wednesday and I beat it. Well, I beat the story mode.
Oh, okay.
I'm working my way through the world log. And if you guys don't know what that is, essentially, One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 has 2 modes, which is just the story mode, which covers 6 big arcs in the One Piece storyline, and then it has what they call the world. Shit, I just said it. They had the world cruiser, the world whatever. And essentially what it is the difference between the two
World
is...
log?
Yes, the world log. The difference between the two is one goes through a story scenario that covers a pretty good chunk of One Piece, or at least some of the bigger things that have happened. It's not like 3, where 3 covered the entire span up to that point. 4 knew that, hey, you've played this game like a couple times now. Half of it will be in the before the time skip, and the other half will be after. But the big thing is the world log, in which you're trying to take your characters, beef them up even further, and kind of take them on bigger challenges. Very similar to Hyrule Warriors, where you were playing different like maps and stuff like that, and like trying to unlock different things. So I played Luffy for most of the campaign, and then I'm playing Kaido for most of the world log. Kaido is huge. He is like 40 feet tall, and it's funny because there will be moments in which you're trying to navigate through these very narrow hallways, and it's like fucking impossible. But it's fun. It's definitely fun. Turning into a giant dragon and literally just like fucking everything up is wonderful. I missed like a good Warriors game, and that's how that's pretty much like everything there is to talk about that. It's good. It's exactly what I thought I was gonna get, and I can't really complain about that. That's all I have to say about One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. But
yeah.
But
I'm glad you're enjoying it though.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it's One Piece and it's Warriors. You know, like I'm a big fan of One Piece. I say that I'm a fan.
I never got like the Warriors game. Lesbihime says he's too thick.
That's right. He's too thick to get through these walls. So that's the thing. Like the Warriors games are just like it's almost like a power trip, you know, where it's like, okay, so you watch an anime or you'll watch like in a movie sometimes where like the one guy beats up like 60 dudes easily, right? And in One Piece, it happens like all the time. There's a bunch of goobers coming like Luffy's way. He stares at them real intense, activates Clunker's hockey, and fucking everyone just faints.
Right.
And you can do that. So like the Warriors games and like the big ones to me are like although the Gundam Warriors games never really like picked up as much as like let's say this one did, or Hyrule Warriors in terms of like its attention. The Warriors games are essentially like just it's about beating up a bunch of guys, it's about taking out a bunch of enemies, and kind of having this having your anime warrior moment, having your anime like badass moment where you're just taking down like hundreds of dudes, and in some cases, like especially with Kaido when he turns into his giant fucking dragon form and he's raining down ice, fire, and lightning, down upon the battlefield. It's it's fun, just taking down a bunch of guys like super easily, and then the best part is that you have like other like you do have that challenge. It's not just about beating up all those guys. It's also about fighting against like other characters in One Piece. So like Luffy will be like really really rocking it, beat like 600 people, right? And then Katakuri gets in his way, and Katakuri and you are essentially on equal terms. You are gods amongst the battlefield, and so now all of a sudden you have to deal with Katakuri. And if Katakuri's stats are higher than yours, or if his moveset fucks you up, there was this one time I was playing Eustace Kid. I wanted to just try him out. And Eustace's whole thing is to like use like not gravity, magnetism to like warp a bunch of like metal onto his arms and then just start punching people and stuff. But I was fighting it against Blackbeard. And what happened was I went to go up against him, and something about how the spacing works between you and him in this one particular map, he'll activate a move that drags you into the ground, but then it locks, because what happens is that you're supposed to pop up after it's done, but he never stopped doing the move, and so I was just locked into that.
Oh,
and
shit. Okay.
Yeah, it was a weird situation, so I replayed it, picked Luffy, kicked his ass, and then that was the end of that.
Oh, okay, good.
But like that's the thing, like so it's about like just going kind of on this like weird like power trip. Like there's a Warriors game that's coming out here for Persona 5, and a lot of people who don't maybe traditionally play Warriors games will get their opportunity to play something, to have their first taste of it. I know that for like people like Tabby, people who don't necessarily play those types of games, they're gonna have their moment. For a lot of Zelda fans, it was Hyrule Warriors. For me, it was Gundam. And obviously One Piece, Pirate Warriors. Warriors games are just really fun. They make you feel like you are as powerful as that character, because I can't tell you how many times I've played other One Piece games or like other anime games, and it's like, wow, this character should have really been able to just destroy all these characters very easily. I don't know why.
Like, wow, I should be done by now.
There's one example I always think too. It's like one of those old Dragon Ball Z games for the PS2. Like when I was like 10 or something like that, and like Goku's fighting against these goobers, and these goobers are on some weird reason are on equal terms with me, and I'm like, this is weird. You shouldn't be on equal terms with me. I'm Goku. like even 10-year-old me, even 10-year-old me was like, what the fuck, dude? Like knock that shit off. But I
don't like that. I'm fucking Goku.
So you all will get your chance. I feel like a lot of people, especially people here, are big fans of Persona 5. Everyone's been playing Royal lately.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of fun to hear about the changes that they've made, because I didn't look anything up for Royal. I tried it whenever I like want to play a game. I won't look anything up for it until like after I'm done playing it. It's just it's just something so that like everything's a fun surprise. Like I didn't know anything about Animal Crossing going into it, and that's a great way to transition into our next topic. I didn't know anything about Animal Crossing going into it, but it has become probably one of my favorite games on the Switch.
That's excellent.
Yeah. Also, I didn't realize that.
No, huh?
Oh, nothing. There's like some like weird like it's a weird glitch on the image itself. It is like bothering me a little. So I'm just gonna.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
you see that?
Yeah, it took me a second to see what you were
There,
looking at
there
there.
we go. I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit there. But yeah, I've been playing
Yeah.
Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Yeah, how is that going for you?
It's nice. I wanted to share one of the things I've been up to. So I streamed this on Thursday with Gang Mudo, and we're gonna do this again, um, in a couple days, like on Thursday. And I wanted to share with everyone what was up because what had happened in the interim has been kind of fun. So I didn't think I was going to like certain aspects of the game. Like I had seen everywhere online that like there was like, oh, you can make your own custom clothing, or oh, you can do this or this. And I'm like, oh, I'm not really into the furniture thing, and I'm not like that might not be like a thing for me.
Yeah.
And I was wrong.
You're like,
Uh,
well, shit.
so I spent a good portion of yesterday like making different outfits and stuff, like making different like hoodies and jackets and stuff. Um,
Right.
like just for fun. And I made one for like if you I'll go from like left to right. I made like Neku shirt from The World Ends With You, Quattro Bagina from Gundam. I made like one of those Chunin Jonin vests. Johnny
Yeah.
Joe Stars shirt from like JoJo, which was I thought there was more to it. It really isn't. And
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what's so interesting about the JoJo style, huh?
oh yeah, I made Clear's coat, which was pretty easy, except for trying to find like something to that wouldn't just be like straight like black on white for the
Right.
scarf. I made Kojaku's robes, Alba's jacket, an All Might hoodie because I want to talk more about vigilantes, and a Monokuma hoodie. Which I thought was pretty fun. And I did, and it's just something I can do like in the background. Like I could just pull an image up and just start to try to like, transpose it over to the game, and it's just something very relaxing. I even made the hoodie I'm wearing in that one because I'm based off of a real hoodie I own in real life. Um,
Yeah. Uh Grunzen says, is is that a caveman skull? It absolutely is.
yeah. So I don't have any place to put my fossils, and I'm like, fuck it, and I put one there. So
Which is fair.
yeah, but yeah, for I only started playing the game like a couple days ago, but I'm really enjoying it. I especially really enjoy the custom design stuff, and I want to like mess with that a little bit more and kind of see what we can do. Um, leave it to Nintendo to remind me that oh yeah, that's right. I do kind of like doing like weird stuff like this. So I've been having like a really solid time of Animal Crossing, and all my friends have been very like nice about it, nice to me about like helping me out and trying to get me, trying to get everything set up. So
Yeah, of
yeah,
course, dude.
how have you been enjoying Animal Crossing?
Perhaps too much.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, last time I played Animal Crossing, I played it for like over a year straight. And there's way more to do in this one. So that is concerning. In New Leaf you could sell your home, or not your home, but your town essentially, to restart the whole game. When I sold it for over 50 million bells.
okay,
50 million, 50 billion, something like that. So every day in the like in the other game when I restarted, I would get like a daily payment of like 300,000 bells until it was paid off. Because you just sold your whole fucking town to Nook and that was it. You called it a day. And you could restart. And I did that for a little bit. So it was interesting to restart a game where it's just like year by year by year by year. Oh, so you just straight up bought the New Horizons island. Yeah.
Mm.
I basically, yeah. In the canon of my own story, yeah, I essentially spent over a year raising up this town and then sold it and then bought a ticket straight to the islands.
Well, damn.
Yeah, so it's been fun. I have been enjoying it.
Man.
Uh, but no, you and Nate both seem to have taken quite the liking to like the customizing of clothes and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not like. I think it's just nice because it's just kind of fun to make something that like you probably can't have in real life. Like, I probably cannot own Kojaku's robes in real life. I probably cannot
Yeah.
like it's just something silly, like Animal Crossing, I have that little home, and I on the outside of the home there's like little flowers and a workbench, and I have this little property on the beach and I have a bonfire and a barbecue set up, and there's all sorts of like dumb stuff, like it's a fantasy, like Gangmudo. I keep going back to that. Gangmudo told me when I started the game that I could do whatever I want, and that's kind of what I did. Was I just established like what it would be like, what would my ideal property kind of be like, and it's like, honestly, it would just be something near a beach. It would, I'd have a little barbecue set up, and like that's ideal to me. Like talking to other people about like their experiences with Animal Crossing and how they've established themselves, and then being told that I was wrong to set mine on a small little cape like I did, has been a very interesting experience so far.
Dude, you're not fucking up or anything. You're not wrong to set it up where you set it up.
You say that, but
No,
anyways.
I definitely say that, and I guess what? I'm totally right. I don't know why everybody's like, well, you can't do that. That's not maximizing your gameplay ability.
Well, that's just the difference between me and you, I guess, is that, I get
Yeah,
shit on for everything I do.
yeah,
No,
but I also don't put myself out there.
that's not true. You do this show. Speaking of
I
do
do this show.
speaking of doing shows, and as I'm like, okay, we're gonna transition into this. YouTube, don't be a dick. Don't be a dick, YouTube.
YouTube. Hello, Oceana.
My Hero Academia Vigilantes is a wonderful manga that everyone should read if you have been having a hard time getting into My Hero like I have.
Yeah.
Holy shit. So one of the biggest problems, the problem is I don't want to talk like I did last week about it, where like we kind of, I don't want to just reiterate the stuff we came up with last week, but I do want to still talk about it because I got cut off last time. Um, so I'm going to paraphrase a couple of different ideas I know we went over. If you've been having a hard time getting into My Hero Academia, one of the biggest fucking anime that exists right now, chances are there's probably something that's holding you back. For me, it was just kind of the shonen formula that I wasn't 100% on board with. I would have much preferred it if Deku didn't have a quirk, and just, or
Yeah.
if he did have a quirk, that it was kind of a useless quirk, or like one that could be perceived as useless and then kind of develops over time. There's tons of different series that have done that, obviously, but there are just some things I don't like about. I think the example I gave last time was Rock Lee inheriting the nine-tailed fox, is essentially what this feels
Yeah.
like, and he gets like one tail at a time. You know, like Deku has a wonderful work ethic. Obviously, he wants to be a superhero really, really badly, and I get that that's kind of the big crux of what people really enjoy about his character. But I also feel like I've seen a lot of it before, and because I'm kind of retreading on some territory that I've already watched, I'm not 100% on reading a story about this. Deku like lucked the fuck out, and it's wonderful that he lucked the fuck out. But there's a lot of characters in that society that don't luck the fuck out, and that kind of brings me to Koichi. You know,
Yeah.
Koichi wants to be a hero. His quirk is to scoot and slide and glide and all over the place. In recent chapters, they kind of introduced this idea that he actually has a small repulse that he can do. He can levitate above the ground, only like a couple inches off the ground. But if he trains it, maybe he can use really interesting things with it. You know, maybe he can
Maybe he
utilize it.
can scoot even faster.
Maybe he can. Well, that's things like maybe he like originally one of the problems he had was that like he couldn't break very easily. But then he talked to a speedster hero, like the brother of the speedster that I think goes to UA, and he said, "Well, what have you ever tried? Simply instead of trying to stop it, have you ever considered just trying to move backwards while you're moving forwards?" And Koishi's like, "I've never thought of it like that," and he does it, and he can actually like turn on a dime
Oh, that's good.
because now he has a better sense of control. And watching Koichi get like a better sense of control over the course of his adventure is really satisfying. It's watching him develop his like his little tandem bike quirk
His
into
tandem bike quirk, his
yes right.
scoot abilities.
It's watching him go like improve his bike into something that like essentially can become something really interesting, and that's what I wanted from my hero. And having his mentor not have a quirk and just being a guy who beats up people real good is fun to watch. Knuckle Duster is very interesting as a character. In fact, where I've read up to, which is not that far, I think it's only about a quarter of the way through. It's only like at 74, 75 chapters right now. At the time of this recording, I've read about a quarter of the way. And watching his character and watching these characters interact and watch them, it's just fun. It's what I wanted out of My Hero Academia, and that's it's. And I'm not saying that My Hero is bad. Like that's not what I'm trying to get at. But Vigilantes is exactly what I asked for. It shows that even in this perfected quote unquote concept of what they're trying to do as a society, it doesn't necessarily work out for everyone, Not everyone gets to go to UA. Some people have to go to college and work at a grocery store,
Yeah.
Not everyone gets to, be heroes. Only the best of the best get to be heroes. And, and even then, even getting a ticket to UA doesn't guarantee some stuff, as I'm finding out as I'm continuing watching the anime. Going to UA doesn't guarantee everything. In fact, sometimes it kind of fucks people over, like later in life, and that's an interesting concept to work with. And these are the things that I wanted out of it. The problem is that I couldn't get past season 2 because it was just the tuning exams, and I was so tired of the tuning exams.
Yeah, I totally get that though.
And it's hard to it's kind of hard to get through that, and like it's hard for me to say that if you get through this it's gonna get better, because I know that there's a lot of people who are in my boat who feel that way. But I will say this: even if you don't end up watching MHA, still give Vigilantes a shot. It's a wonderful manga that is silly, yes. That is kind of crazy at times, absolutely. But it has a lot of heart. There's a lot of passion behind the project. There's sillier moments where like they have to do a pop step and wanting to be like an idol and stuff like that, and being taken seriously as an idol.
Right.
And then there's really grotesque moments, like one of the first big villains that they have to deal with is kind of a weird one to deal with. It's a whole thing.
No spoilers then.
Yeah,
I take it.
I don't want to go into that because that is the first. Knuckle Duster feels very much like a Punisher Batman character, and it's wonderful. It is wonderful how they play that up. I also love the fact that most women like Koichi's mom and like Koichi's other love interest, the minute that Knuckle Duster comes in, like just in like a suit to come hang out with Koichi and like the others, because he does that, he just hangs out.
Yeah.
Like they both look at him, they're like, "What a man," because he's fucking built, and their line is literally "What a man," and it's like, oh, Neat. And,
Oh,
and
okay.
and then they make fun of or they poke fun of like his other love interest for like being kind of being hardcore into muscles.
Hardcore into muscles.
Oh, it's just fun. It's a funny gimmick. It's like
Nothing wrong with that.
when Koichi goes when Koichi has his mom over, and her mom and his mom's quirk is like to slap the air, and it slaps Koichi.
Is it just I can slap the air and then I can slap my son with it?
Yeah, it's like distant slapping.
Oh, I guess that's
A quirk. It's a quirk.
it's fuck. I guess that's a thing. Sure, why not?
So it's just something that's it's just different. And if you haven't checked out My Hero Academia Vigilantes, once again, if you are not, we're not endorsed or fucking whatever by Shonen Jump or VIZ Media or anything like that. But the app is literally $1 a month, and you can read the current stuff of what's going on in Japan and what's hot and popular, or you can read what My Hero Vigilantes, one or the other. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching another episode of Mitch's Minute. I know
Yeah,
this one felt kind of short, despite being 46 minutes long.
I
Um,
know.
I think it's because we kind of went through most of the topics pretty quick.
Yeah, we did.
Um, but
I think that's because we're like, oh god, we gotta go fast. We gotta just go as fast as possible.
don't want YouTube to cut us off again, and that pain is gonna stick with us for a while. Holy shit. Um, Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Mitch's Minute. If you like this video, please give it a like, and comment, and subscribe. It helps people find us. And also, maybe tell us
Yeah.
YouTube that, hey, maybe don't fucking cancel us halfway through a fucking stream. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no kidding.
But also, if there's any games you guys want us to play or anything like that, let us know, because I know I have my game lined up for Friday. And I'm pretty excited for that one. That's something I've been wanting to play on the show for a very long time, and it's considered one of the best games of the last decade. So I'm pretty excited for that. but anyways, guys, we'll catch you next week.
Catch you next week.